Hi, it's Joe and some reviews. I hope you're doing well. On today's video, we're going to be talking about what unfortunately looks set to be one of this year's biggest box office bombs, but at the same time, for me personally, was one of the biggest surprises at the cinema this year. And that film is Masters of the Universe.
I have the power!
Now, when it comes to He-Man, the Masters of the Universe, I have very little knowledge and investment in the franchise before going into this. I never really was introduced to it when I was younger. I was always more Marvel and DC comics, and that was really from my dad, and my uncle then brought in the Star Wars factor to me when I was growing up. But He-Man and Masters of the Universe was sort of after their time and before mine, so I just never had that introduction to it. Oh yeah, and of course I know the infamous Skeletor laugh is a great meme.
I can't remember when I've had a more pleasant day. Until we meet again!
And when it comes to the films and TV series, never watched any of the cartoons. And I only watched the Dolph Lundgren film for the first time earlier this past week, and I thought it was pretty rubbish, I'm going to be honest. I know people have nostalgia for that film, and there are things in it that I appreciate. Frank Langella as Skeletor, the practical effects and costumes are kind of gloriously goofy, but man, it is a drag. The story's kind of a mess and it's boring, and there's no investment or real context to anything to do with the Eternia and, you know, the world, the outer world of He-Man, which this film, which I'll get onto later, really doubles down on. So when the trailer dropped for this, I honestly thought it looked pretty good fun. I wasn't like locked in, this is going to be a day one IMAX or anything like that, but, you know, looked pretty visually spectacular, looked very expensive. Guardians of the Galaxy vibe to it, lots of mashing up of science fiction, action, horror, fantasy, you know, all that good stuff. And also it's very entertaining seeing a certain group of people get very upset about a he-him joke in the trailer as well. So anyway, enough with the preamble. Pick up your power sword, put on your loincloth, let's head to Castle Grayskull. But before you do, please hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and hit the subscribe button if you're feeling extra generous. And let's talk about Masters of the Universe. Arriving almost 40 years after the 1987 feature film of the same name, after being stuck in development hell and passed between a myriad of directors and writers, Masters of the Universe sees the kingdom of Eternia threatened by the villainous Skeletor, played by Jared Leto, and his armies of darkness. To save his father's kingdom and protect the lives of those he holds dear, Prince Adam, played by Nicholas Galitzin, has to retrieve a mythical sword and become the fabled warrior only known as He-Man. Thanks to the monumental success of Barbie back in 2023, Mattel fired up the film production engines and began a cascade of announcements for films based on their toy properties. Everything from Bob the Builder, Hot Wheels, Rock'em Sock'em Robots, and the Magic 8 Ball, which I can only assume is going to be like a horror flick in the vein of Ouija or Annabelle or something. But anyway, first up was this return to the hugely popular 80s cartoon and toy line series, which has really only been kept in the geekdom limelight with a handful of Netflix cartoons over the past few years that I believe were pretty much subjected to mixed reception from fans and critics alike. I can't deny that it was a bold move for the studios involved to electrocute this with $200 million, and it certainly has not got the level of fanfare of similar properties behind it, such as Star Wars, Marvel and DC. And the early box office response very much seems to replicate this statement. Which honestly is a damn shame, as this was exactly what I needed when I watched it, and 1, was better than I expected, and 2, is miles better than the utter snooze fest that is the 1987 original. Sorry fans of that film and those that have nostalgia for it. This is very much a Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves situation, where the heart and love for the source material is very much there, and you can tell the filmmakers love it, but at the same time can acknowledge the absurdity and take the mick out of certain traits and tropes within the material. And it's good fun, but unfortunately no one shows up to watch it. I will get the handful of gripes out of the way first. Whilst I never found it dull or outright dragging, there is no denying that a runtime of just shy of 2 hours 30 minutes is stretching it for the story on display here, and certain areas could have been trimmed, particularly in Adam's work life in the first section of the film, and a mid-section action forest set piece that is very much aiming for something like The Incredibles or Return of the Jedi's set pieces in forests. The screenplay does suffer from the now very expected blockbuster cringe humour at times, and one particular cameo that feels more shoehorned in than charming, if anything. However, that being said, the majority of gags and the gonzo silliness absolutely work, and have me chuckling throughout at the unabashed silliness, yet also genuine sincerity on display. There are several puns and music cues that tee up gags really well. The usage of the song The Power at one point and Son of a Then Breach immediately spring to mind. And both the comic shop sequence and a particularly trippy chain of scenes involving Skeletor inside Adam's mind are genuine high points. The film provides far more context, immersion and investment than anything the original film had to offer, and takes us on a rollicking adventure from He-Man's origins all the way to the final face-off at Castle Grayskull. The action kicks a lot of ass for the most part as well. And the first big set piece is Skeletor's forces descend upon King Randor's homestead, which showcases a scrappy one-on-one brawl between Duncan and Trapjaw, to the slapstick-heavy highway scramble. He-Man decimating an entire room of goons, utilizing them as makeshift clubs, impaling them to one another and slicing and dicing. And of course the entire finale breakout, particularly Duncan and Roboto's bridge defense set piece. And lastly, He-Man versus Skeletor's hypercharged finale beatdown. It's all great stuff. Director Travis Knight knows how to shoot these kinetic sequences to great effect, and also delivers on the crowd-pleasing moments too. Seriously, the Princes of the Universe needle drop nearly lifted me fully out my seat. And the consistent background 80s metal riffage and bolstered versions of the main theme will have your horns up throughout. Visually, it's a bright and colourful and huge scale affair that mostly looks great. Really only the aforementioned forest sequence looks particularly ropey. Otherwise, it's a refreshing feast for the eyes compared to the concrete look of something like Mandalorian and Grogu that just came out. Performance-wise, everybody is locked into the wacky tone. Galtzin nails the balance of being utterly ripped yet bumbling, good-spirited, and also knowing how to strike a hero pose. Camila Mendez has a strong no-nonsense presence and nailed comedic timing as Teela. Idris Elba's clearly having a lot of fun as Duncan, and his arc with coming to terms with talking about his feelings and what it means to be a man is genuinely well executed. Honestly though, the biggest surprise is just how great Jared Leto is as Skeletor.
That's it? I finished.
Of course, my lord.
When I raise my fist like that, I'm done!
Yes.
That is the crescendo!
We'll know for the future, my lord.
An absolute scene stealer and all-round bastard of a villain. He nails the flamboyant, sarcastic, petulant mania of the voice perfectly, and should be in Oscar contention purely for how he says, "oh balls," at one point. Lastly, Alison Brie is a lot of fun as Evil Lynn, and Kristen Wiig's deadpan Roboto is a fun addition as well. Masters of the Universe is an absolute riot, and far better than I expected it to be. It's unabashedly committed to the cheesy, over-the-top mishmash of science fiction and fantasy of its source material, delivers a bunch of cool-as-hell action sequences, the characters are fun, and visually it really pops at points. Sure, it's a bit messy and scrappy and treads familiar ground, but the entertainment level is off the charts. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen the film and what you think of it. Which do you prefer, this or the Dolph Lundgren film from the 80s? As always, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and I will speak to you again soon on the next one. Cheers.